what goes on in the Indian world today basically as is not the same as what our ancestors did. And today we are because we don't have that Tioshpai mentality where we go against each other, we're quick to pull one another down, and it's just we're like the rest of the dualistic world. That's people. Some people say that's the white man's way. No, no, it's not. Absolutely not. I say this every day. I'll try to say this every day. I have white friends that have done incredible things for me. I didn't even ask them to do that, but they've done incredible things for me. More than my own Lakota relatives would do for me. So you cannot tell me that, that's the white man's way is to lie and cheat. That's not true. That's a selfish person's way. And you find selfish people everywhere in this world. As some people say, well, that's the mixed blood way. No, it's not. That is not true either. I know some full-blooded Lakota people that have really tried to take advantage of me, that have tried to do things behind my back, that have tried to bring me down, and even my own full-blood relatives, even one guy who is a descendant of Sitting Bull, tried to do some things behind my back when I still worked as a Lakota language teacher. And it's incredible how we are today, how selfish we are, and how jealous we are. I grew up, looking up to people, like aunts and uncles, and see, my mother was a very virtuous lady, and I just assumed that all adults were like my mother. I just assumed that. I didn't know. Yeah, I thought that when you grow up, that you know what's right and wrong, and you know to help people, you know to take care of people. Yeah, and these are people who Lakota is their first language. And then I grew up and became an adult father, and several of my uncles that I really looked up to. Not my mother's brothers. No, not those guys. Her cousins, yeah, her male cousins. That a lot of them. Well, I can name. I won't name them, but I can think of two of them right now. That well, I can think of way more than that actually, but I don't focus on those things because that's in the past, and I've dealt with it, and I let it go. I learned from it. Yeah, I learned that just because somebody's an Indian doesn't mean they're good. I learned that just because somebody's a full blood, that doesn't mean they're good. I've learned that just because somebody can speak Lakota, that doesn't mean they're good either. Yeah, and it's just shocking, that when I grew up and I discovered that one of my uncles from my one of my mother's cousins, male cousins, that he tried to get me fired from a job, and the reason why it was shocking was because every time I saw this guy in public, he would, "Hey, nephew, how are you? Boy, it's good to see you." He'd shake me a hand. Sometimes he'd shake my hand. Sometimes he would give me a hug, and he really made me feel good. And so it was just shocking to find out that he went before the tribal council and tried to get me fired, and I didn't even do anything wrong. He tried to get me fired because it turned out that I had the job that he wanted. And he was telling the council how inefficient I was, and the council, they didn't like it. They didn't like it because they said, "Well, why isn't he here? You're standing here, you're talking behind his back, and he's not even here to defend himself." And and I come from a good family, so they know, they knew that he was lying. And so when I found that out, that was just shocking to me. I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I was hurt because that was a man that I looked up to. And so I was like, wow, I didn't think adults were like this. See, I'm so naive, yeah. And when I was younger, I was so naive. I just assumed that everybody's like my mom. And then another one, same thing. He tried to get me fired, and because his son, who was a little boy, was participating in a summer youth program on the reservation. This is like a summer job program, and I was, I'm the supervisor of these workers, and his son didn't get hired. So right away he got mad, and he said, "How come you didn't hire my son?" I told him, "I don't do the hiring. That's done by the tribal hiring board. I don't have anything to do with that." But I think he was just looking for an excuse, to try to do something. And he tried to run me over with his car. Yeah? And I was like, holy, adults, full blood Indians, can be really nice, but they can be really full of shit too. Yeah. So then I started to remember, in my life, that yes, there were people from all skin colors who hurt me, but there were also people from all skin colors who helped me too, and who were nice to me, and who were good to me. So I focus on that. Yeah, and that Lakota star knowledge concept of like attracts like. Yeah, if you're healthy, you'll attract healthy situations. If you're unhealthy, you're going to attract unhealthy situations. If you're a racist, that's what you're going to experience throughout your life. Because you're attracting it. You're calling it. Yeah? Whatever you are inside of yourself, that's what you're calling. So if all you're doing is bitching and complaining about this and that, and that's what you're going to attract. So yeah, you're going to be that way the rest of your life until you change. Because like attracts like. Yeah? You are what you attract. And you look at some of these people that do this, that live like that, they don't really have healthy relationships in their personal lives. Yeah? They can't even hold a boyfriend. They can't even hold a girlfriend. It's just continually, continually things mess up for them. And then they blame it on them, the other person. But see, like attracts like. So if something went wrong, it's because of the person. Yeah, it's because of you. If you're unhealthy and your relationships keep failing, it's not because of the partners. It's because of you. You have to change something in yourself. So this is really important. Yeah, because if you want to live a healthy life, you want to experience life and really enjoy it, you have to be ready to receive it. And to do that, you have to live a certain way. You have to live in a healthy way. That's not a religion. It does not include ceremonies. It does not include prayers. Yeah, this is just a way to live. That's how we were put here. Yeah. So anyway, this is why I talk about these things. That the message for this show is for all people. It's not just for Indians, because we're more than Indian. We're human. Yeah, everybody is human. I'm thinking of somebody right now. I know them. I know them personally. This person is nice in the beginning, but if you rattle her feathers, she reacts in a very unhealthy way. If something goes wrong, it's always the other person's fault. This is the way she thinks. Yeah, and this is you could just say this is a mouthy person. This lady never had anything nice to say about anybody, and there's a personality disorder. Yeah, and it was a mental illness, and I don't think anybody knew it though, because full bloods think that full bloods can't get mental illness. Yes, we can. Yeah, that's why we had medicine men and women long time ago. If we were perfect people, we wouldn't have these medicine men and medicine women. So it shows you that we're not perfect, and we had mental illness back then. There was a ceremony for that. This was a kettle dance ceremony. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm thinking of this person, and it's this. I'm thinking of this concept: like attracts like, and that's why I'm very careful when I communicate to that person, because I'm not. I don't mean that in a walking on eggshells kind of way. I mean, I just mean that I say what I mean. Yeah, and I don't agree with her just to keep her in in a friendly way. And I do say things that I know she disagrees with, and but I do it in a way that shows respect. Yeah, that I say, this is the belief, but I know there's people who disagree, but that's fine, because however you choose to communicate, that's gonna either invite a blessing or a difficulty. And if it's a difficulty, then it's your responsibility to learn from it. But most people don't. Yeah. Instead, what they do is they say, "Oh shit, it's because of so and so. So and so said this, and so." See, that's the reason why it messes. They can never take responsibility for themselves. They always have to blame somebody else when something goes wrong. And these people, man, they talk crazy talk. Yeah. Some of them will say, I am a descendant of Chief Whoopity Who, so that means I'm protected by his spirit, and you know what I mean. And they'll go on, they'll say this even on Facebook. I just a few minutes ago I read something like that. Yeah, I'm a descendant of so and so, so I am protected by that person, and all my grandmas and grandpas, they put a spell on me, so nothing can harm me. So if you try to harm me, karma's gonna come back and take its toll on your ass. Gee, the holy. Let me get my popsicle crucifix ready here, yeah? Oh, man. So what that statement basically says is that lady who said this is putting herself above other people. She's elevating herself above other people by saying that her grandmas and grandpas put a lucky charm on her, and so that nothing can ever bother her. Nothing will ever hurt her. This is another way of saying I am better than you. You are nothing. You are a piece of shit. If you disagree with me, you are evil. You are a piece of shit, and you will die. That's basically what she's saying. And what is that? That's duality. That's not the Lakota way. Yeah, that is absolutely not the Lakota way. In the Lakota world, and actually this is not just for Lakota people, it's for everybody. One of the virtues in living is to have compassion for others, regardless of who they are. Because we are all not done living. Unless you're on your deathbed and listening to this show, you're the exception. And I'm not saying that as a joke. Because believe me, people, there's all kinds of people who listen to this show. I know this. Yeah, so that's why I say that. But most of us are still living, and we're not done. We're still in the process of a lot of things happening in our life. It's like that analogy I told you yesterday. It's like our life is could be represented by making a chocolate cake or any kind of cake. That's our life. And there's some points where we taste good and some points where we don't. Some points where it looks like we're being beaten the shit out of. And then there's some points where it's, it's nice. If we hang in there and just make the best of that situation and learn from the difficulties, we end up being a chocolate cake that tastes damn good. Yeah? But part of that process includes having compassion and respect for others, even if you disagree. As long as you don't force your ideas down other people's throats. As long as you don't say, you are wrong, therefore you are dumb, you are evil, stay away from me, or I will destroy you. Or I'm protected by all these lucky charms, so even if you try, you're going to be destroyed. See, that is not the Lakota way. That's not the human way. To talk like that means you have no compassion in your heart, and you have no respect for others. Now, some people confuse respect and honor. Honor is earned, and respect is given. You respect others. We're in the old way, we're taught to respect even our enemies because they breathe the same air we do. The same sun warms their souls and their hearts. We eat the same food. We drink the same water. And we both bleed red. We both have the right to believe whatever we want to believe as long as we don't oppress one another. As long as we don't go around door knocking and saying, do you know there's a God in heaven who loves you? Or did you know that your relatives are in heaven waiting for you? Or, I'm protected by all these lucky charms, so go ahead and try to attack me because you're going to go to hell. See, all that lacks compassion. That lacks respect. That is not the way to live. That's the way to die. Yeah, that's how it is. Long time ago, there was a story where these Dakota guys. This is really an old story. There was some two Lakota guys. They were visiting a Dakota camp. Now, in our language, we have three dialects. It's Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota. And the difference is like this. In Lakota people, we say the word lila. That means really or very much of something. Yeah. We say lila. Dakota people say dida. They substitute the L's with the D's. The Nakota people, they say dina. They keep one D and the other one becomes an N. That's the differences. So we can still understand each other. If I say lila washte to a Dakota, he knows what I mean. He knows what I mean. For him, it's dida washte. Yeah? If I say wimachasha, I am a man, he's going to say wimachashta. almost the same, but we know what each other is saying. Yeah, we ma cha sha, we ma cha shta. See the difference? You hear the difference in it? But you can tell it's the same. It is the same thing. That's the difference in the dialects. Yeah. Okay. So in this story, there was these two Lakota guys. They were out hunting and they ran into this group of Dakota guys, and they, we're all relatives. Yeah. And so they're greeting each other and they're just talking. How's things going? What are you guys doing today? That kind of thing. And the discussion, they started to get into a little bit of a teasing match. Yeah, and one guy couldn't take it. Well, the Dakota guy was kind of short-tempered, so he couldn't take it, so he went and attacked this Lakota guy, and he couldn't stop. Yeah, the other Dakota guys were trying to take him off the Lakota guy. By that time, the Lakota guy was injured so bad that he was bleeding profusely from his stomach. So they tried to get help, but by the time they got to the Dakota camp, because they were closer to the Dakota camp, by the time they got to the Dakota camp, the Lakota boy died. And so now the Dakota father of the murderer was very scared because, see, in those days, Lakota, there's 7 groups of Lakota people, okay? And we are known. That's where I'm from. We are known as we're known for our warrior society called Kanri Yuha Akichita. But it's the deadliest warrior society on the Great Plains in North America, and all tribes are aware of this. So when they see one of these guys coming, they get out of the way. Yeah, because that's the reputation these warriors have. Kanri Yuha is what they're called. Yeah, Kanri Yuha Akichita. This is a really, they're kind of like a special forces, you could say. And so these Dakota people in this camp were scared because the Lakota guy, by that time, he got on the horse and went back to his people. So they were scared. So they said, well, let's get ready. They're going to most likely attack us. So they got ready. Yeah, they got all their people in the circle, and it was there's a small group. So they said, we're not going to fight. So we're just going to let them come in and let's see what happens. Yeah. So about I don't know, about maybe 10 days later or so, this huge Lakota group came and they surrounded this Dakota group. And then the father and the chief and the holy man went inside the Dakota camp circle. And the father of the murderer, he was really scared, yeah, because he knew, that most likely he knows that his son's gonna be taken, that his son's gonna die. And so he was scared, and he was sad, and because he's like, I'm never going to see my son again, And the people were scared, yeah, because the Dakota people were known basically as agricultural. They live near where the Missouri River joins the Mississippi. That's very fertile land, and so a lot of them were either fishermen or they grew corn. Yeah, along the riverbeds. So they were not known for being warriors in battle. Yeah, so they were scared. They offered them food, and then the Lakota father of the murdered son. I'll just call him the Lakota father, okay? And the father of the murderer, I'll call him the Dakota father. All right, for the next few minutes. The Lakota father addressed the Dakota father, and he said, your son has, killed my son. And he said there has to be a payment for that, and there has to be balance. Because right now things are unbalanced, he said. So the Dakota father agreed. The Dakota father agreed. So then the Lakota father said, bring your son up. So the mother's crying, his sisters are crying, and the father's, the Dakota father's really holding back his tears, and they bring out the Dakota boy. And so the Lakota father looks at him and he says, you've taken my son, he said. Now you're going to replace him. And it took people a few minutes to figure out what does he mean. Yeah? And so the holy man said, the Lakota holy man said to the Dakota father, he said, your son is no longer your son. He said, now this Lakota father is going to take this young man as his son. So who really lost? Well, it doesn't end there. Yeah? The Lakota holy man said, your son is now gone, but you know he's alive. And that made all the difference in the world. Yeah? So the Dakota father started crying because they were sad, but at the same time they're happy too, because even though this boy is no longer going to be living with them, they know he's alive. And the Lakota father said, I'm going to raise him like my son. From now on, he speaks Lakota. From now on, he's a Lakota. He's with us. So he will be part of the warrior societies. And when you're in a warrior society, you take a pledge to die for one another if that's going to be if it gets that serious. And warriors who are in the same warrior society, they trust each other with their lives, with their families, which means you're protected no matter what. So they said, your son is going to live, but he's my son now. So then they had a farewell, and then they left. So the Dakota father, they, like I said, they were sad, but at the same time, they were happy too because he's still alive. The boy is still alive. So the boy grew up. Yeah, he grew up among the Lakota people as a Lakota, fulfilling all his roles, becoming a member of a warrior society, becoming a father, becoming a grandfather. And he lived the rest of his life, serving the people. This is what you call respect. See how that works? That's hard. I say the Lakota way is difficult. This is one of the reasons why. So this is an example of how you treat this kind of situation. So if somebody's spreading shit about you, you deal with it in a healthy way. You deal with it in a way that respect is shown even to the person who's spreading the shit. Respect does not mean agree. Peace and respect mean you can agree to disagree, and as long as you don't force your ideas down each other's throats, you can still have peace and respect. But if you say, I have all these lucky charms around me to protect me, so if you try to send shit to me, you're gonna die. That is not peace. That is not respect. That is not compassion. That is not generosity. There is no wisdom in talking like that. That's what you call stupidity. That's the way of a coward, not a warrior. Yeah, in the Lakota world, people are always saying, yeah, you're supposed to respect women. And here, this is a woman that's talking like this that I just told you about. That's saying, I have all these lucky charms, and so if you try to hurt me, karma's gonna kill you. That's what she's saying on Facebook. She's saying that. If my mom saw that, this is what she would say. Lila he. And this is that's not a good thing, yeah. That's saying you're really unhealthy. Somebody who talks like that's really unhealthy, or crazy. That's not the Lakota way. That's not the traditional way to talk. To say I have all these lucky spells, so I'm protected. That sounds like a little kid in the playground. Somebody didn't grow up. This person is older than me that said that. And I'm really old. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, this is I just wanted to point out those kind of things because you would think that adults would know better, but we don't. Yeah, this goes to show you, just because you're old and have gray hair, that don't mean you're smart. That don't mean you have wisdom. Just because you can speak your language, that doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. Yeah? So just think about that. That's all I say. Yeah? Just think about that. And I don't ask you to agree with me because maybe you're like this lady that I'm talking about. Yeah? But all I ask is that you think about it. Nothing more. I'm not even asking you to agree with me. But what I am saying here is based on these Lakota virtues. Yeah? And this old story that I shared with you, that was the way they dealt with that kind of difficulty. That they still showed respect. Yeah? That you even respect your enemy. We have traditional enemies, Crow Indians. And one time, this a Lakota group were attacked by a Crow Indian group. This was they were out hunting, yeah, and these Crow Indians came into Lakota country, and they attacked this Lakota group, and it was a small Lakota group because they were just hunting. But there was a Kahiyuha warrior among them, yeah. And so this one of the things they do is they have like a spear that is connected to like a lance, like a rope or like some kind of thing they wear around their chest. And when the battle gets really difficult, they throw the stick in the ground and they tie it like a rope or something to this stick, this spear. And they stand there and they fight. They fight until the death, or until the enemy is totally defeated. That's why I said this is the special forces. Yeah. So this Lakota group was getting hit pretty bad. They were taking a beating. So this Kahiyuha warrior, he threw his lance in the ground, his staff, his spear. He tied himself to it, and then he started battling these Crow warriors that were coming at him. And he was killing them left and right. And he must have killed about 20, 30 of these Crow warriors. And this gave time for the Lakota group to retreat and get help. Yeah. And so he, like I said, he killed about 20, 30 Crow warriors until finally one of them was able to hit him. One that they were able to kill him. And the Crows were so amazed at this Lakota Kanji warrior, Kanji Yuha warrior. I said, gee, this guy really fought for his people. Yeah, they were hunting. They knew that. Yeah, they knew that they were hunting, but they attacked him. And he said all he was doing was protecting his people, and he did it very fiercely. So they thought, we need to honor him. So they brought his body back to the Lakota people, these Crow people. They came in peace. And all the food and horses that they had, they gave to the Lakota people. And they apologized. That is respect. See? It takes a real warrior to say, I did something wrong. I'm sorry. Here, let me do this for you. Yeah? But to say I have lucky charms and you try to hurt me and your karma's going to come and kill you, that's not respect. That is not compassion.